I heard my daughter say if she dies soon, that would solve my money problems. She thought I was asleep. I heard everything. And in that moment, I realized I had a choice: accept my fate or fight back with everything I had left. This is the story of how I reclaimed my life when everyone thought I was just waiting to die. Don't forget to subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. My fingers clutched the blanket as I heard those words drift through my bedroom door. If she dies soon, that would solve my money problems. My own daughter, Diane's voice, followed by that hollow laugh I'd grown to dread. I kept my eyes closed, tears sliding silently down my wrinkled cheeks. The life insurance and investments would cover your debts and still leave enough for my new business, she continued, speaking to my granddaughter, Amber, in the hallway. They thought I was sleeping. They always assumed I was sleeping. The stroke 3 months ago had left my body weakened, but my mind remained sharp as ever, sharp enough to hear the truth that cut deeper than any physical pain I'd endured in my 85 years. I'd spent decades as the principal of Bridgeport High, commanding respect from hundreds of teachers and thousands of students. Now I couldn't even command basic decency in my own home. When footsteps approached, I kept my breathing steady, maintaining the illusion of sleep as Diane checked on me. Her shadow fell across my face briefly before she closed the door. Not a touch, not a word of comfort, just a quick verification that I was still breathing for now. Once alone, I opened my eyes to the dim room that had become my prison. The house I'd owned for 50 years, paid off with decades of careful saving, now felt like a stranger's place. Photos of happier times mocked me from the dresser: William and me on our wedding day, Diane's college graduation, family vacations when smiles weren't manufactured for show. Later that night, I heard Diane on the phone, her voice drifting up from the kitchen. "I've talked to a financial advisor about Mom's investments. Yes, I have power of attorney for medical decisions, but the money is still technically hers." I know, I strained to hear, my heart hammering. The stroke didn't affect her mind enough. "No, we need to wait." A pause. "Look, I'm not saying I want her to die, but realistically, at her age, it can't be much longer. I'd given everything to that girl. After William died of a heart attack 20 years ago, I'd poured my life into ensuring Diane had every opportunity: the best schools, financial support for her struggling business ventures, help raising Amber when her marriage collapsed. And this was my reward, becoming an inconvenient obstacle between them and my bank account." When Martha, my part-time nurse, arrived the next morning, she noticed my red eyes immediately. "Rough night, Eleanor?" she asked, her gentle hands checking my pulse. I nearly told her everything, but something stopped me, a flicker of an idea forming in my mind. "Just some pain," I lied, watching her face carefully. Martha had been assigned by the hospital after my stroke. Unlike Diane, she touched me with respect and spoke to me like a person rather than furniture. "I'll mention it to Dr. Lopez at your appointment tomorrow," she said, helping me sit up. My appointment, away from this house, away from Diane, who rarely bothered to accompany me anymore. As Martha helped me dress, I caught my reflection in the mirror, a frail woman with hollow cheeks and dull white hair. But in my eyes, I saw something I hadn't seen in months, a spark of defiance. My hands used to be strong. As I stared at them now, spotted with age, blue veins prominent beneath translucent skin, I remembered how they once graded hundreds of papers each week, planted gardens each spring, and held my sobbing daughter when her father died unexpectedly. William's death changed everything. One moment he was complaining about heartburn after dinner. The next, he was gone, leaving me at 65 to navigate widowhood and a daughter who never quite grew up. The life insurance barely covered the funeral and his medical bills. "I'll take care of you, Mom," Diane had promised at the cemetery, her black dress whipping in the autumn wind. "Just like you always took care of me." What a bitter joke those words became. I sacrificed my retirement dreams for her. The European river cruise with my teaching colleagues canceled to help with the down payment on Diane's first store. The book club meetings I loved gradually abandoned as I spent evenings babysitting Amber while Diane pursued her networking opportunities that never seemed to materialize into actual business. Today, as Martha helps me into the wheelchair for my daily sun on the porch, Diane's term for pushing me outside and forgetting me for hours, I watch my daughter through the kitchen window. She's reviewing credit card statements, her face pinched with stress. 3 designer shopping bags from her emergency retail therapy session yesterday sit by her feet. "Your tea, Eleanor," Martha says, placing a steaming cup beside me. I study Martha's kind face. She's worked for me for 3 months, ever since the hospital assigned her to my case. She doesn't know that I can actually walk short distances with a cane when no one's watching, that I sometimes sneak to the bathroom at night rather than use the humiliating bedpan Diane leaves because she doesn't want to be disturbed. "Thank you," I whisper, suddenly aware of how rarely those words are spoken in this house anymore. Later, I feign sleep as Amber stops by my room. At 23, my granddaughter is beautiful but hollow, more interested in her social media presence than building a real life. I hear her rummaging through my jewelry box. Not the first time. "Just borrowing, Grandma," she whispers, though she thinks I can't hear. For my Instagram shoot, the diamond earrings William gave me for our 30th anniversary disappear into her pocket. I know I'll never see them again, just like the sapphire brooch that mysteriously fell down the drain last month. After she leaves, I carefully reach beneath my mattress where I've hidden the only piece that matters, William's wedding band on a chain, the last thing they'll take from me. That evening, while Diane thinks I'm napping, I overhear her phone conversation with her friend Melanie. The financial advisor says most of Mom's money is in conservative investments, too stable to access without her signature. I know, but guardianship requires proving mental incapacity, and despite the stroke, her mind is still sharp. A bitter laugh escapes my lips, thankfully too quiet for her to hear. The irony isn't lost on me. My mental acuity, once my pride, is now the very thing preventing my daughter from taking everything. When the social worker, Jessica Morales, visits later that week, I notice how her eyes narrow at the expired medications on my nightstand, the unwashed bedding, the untouched lunch tray. As she leaves, our eyes meet briefly. In that moment, something passes between us, a silent understanding, and I realize I may have found my first ally. "Mrs. Wilson, I'm concerned about these blood pressure readings." Dr. Karen Lopez studies my chart with furrowed brows. We're alone in the examination room, Martha waiting outside after helping me change into the paper gown that crinkles with every movement. I've known Karen for 15 years. She delivered the news about my breast cancer scare, celebrated my remission, and helped me through William's death. Today, she'll help me start my resurrection. "Is Diane giving you your medication regularly?" she asks, her voice low. My hands tremble, not from weakness, but from the magnitude of what I'm about to do. "Karen," I whisper, using her first name for the first time, "I need to tell you something, and I need your absolute discretion." For the next 10 minutes, I speak without interruption. I tell her about the conversation I overheard, the neglect masked as care, the financial manipulations. By the time I finish, Karen's professional composure has cracked, revealing raw anger beneath. "This is elder abuse, Eleanor," she says, gripping my hand. "I can report this." I shake my head. "Not yet. I need more than accusations. I need evidence, a plan." I pause, gathering courage. "I need to contact Richard Coleman." Richard, my late husband's attorney and our family friend for decades, a man Diane always disliked for his direct manner and probing questions about her business ventures. Karen doesn't hesitate. "I'll call him myself. We can arrange for him to visit you during your next appointment." But fate offers a better opportunity. 2 days later, Diane announces she has a job interview, her first in months. "Martha will stay with you," she says, already mentally absent as she checks her reflection. "Don't wait up." The moment her car disappears down the driveway, I turn to Martha. I need to make a call, I say, my voice stronger than it's been in months. And then I need you to help me with something important. Martha's eyes widen as I ease myself out of the wheelchair and take tentative steps with my cane. Mrs. Wilson, you can walk better than they think, I reply. And please call me Eleanor. Richard arrives 90 minutes later, parking down the street and walking to the house like an old friend paying a casual visit. His shock at my deteriorated state is quickly replaced by professional focus as I outline what I need. It's not just about protecting my assets anymore, I explain, sitting straighter than I have in months. It's about exposing the truth about justice. He nods, his legal pad filling with notes. We'll need documentation, evidence of neglect, financial misappropriation, statements from medical professionals, and I'll need to appear more helpless than I am, I add. At least until everything is in place. Martha, who has been quietly listening, speaks up. I can help with the documentation. I've already noticed several instances of medication being forgotten or appointments being canceled. Richard turns to her, eyebrows raised. You understand this could jeopardize your position? Martha's smile holds no hesitation. Some things are more important than a job, Mr. Coleman. As they discuss logistics, I gaze at the photo of William on the mantel. I'm fighting back my love, finally fighting back. Before Richard leaves, he passes me a small object wrapped in tissue paper. Keep this hidden, he instructs. Later, alone in my room, I unwrap it to find a basic cell phone with 3 numbers programmed in: Richard, Karen, and someone named Victor Ramirez. That night, when Diane checks on me before bed, I play my part perfectly, fragile, slightly confused, utterly dependent. She tucks the blanket around me with efficient, loveless movements. Good night, Mother, she says, already turning toward the door. Diane, I call weakly, summoning tears to my eyes. I'm so grateful for you, darling. I don't know what I'd do without you. The flash of guilt that crosses her face is brief but unmistakable. Good. Let her remember that moment in the days to come. After she leaves, I retrieve the phone from its hiding place inside my pillowcase. My first text to Richard is simple: Operation Awakening has begun. Good morning, Mrs. Wilson. Meals on Wheels. The cheerful voice at the front door makes Diane roll her eyes as she reluctantly answers it. From my strategic position in the living room, where I've insisted on sitting today to see the garden, I watch as Victor Ramirez enters our home for the first time. In his mid-40s, with salt and pepper hair and kind eyes that miss nothing, he balances a thermal bag of food containers while chatting amiably with my increasingly impatient daughter. We're so happy to add your mother to our delivery route, he says, his smile never wavering despite Diane's chilly reception. The county has this wonderful grant program now. All seniors recovering from strokes qualify. Fine, Diane mutters, pointing toward me. She's right there. I have calls to make. Victor turns to me, and our eyes meet briefly, a silent acknowledgement passing between us. According to Richard, Victor Ramirez is one of the best private. The investigators in Connecticut specialize in elder abuse cases. His Meals on Wheels cover gives him legitimate reasons to visit regularly. How are you today, Mrs. Wilson? He asks loudly for Diane's benefit as he sets the containers on the side table. Blessed to have such kind help, I reply with practiced frailty, my fingers discreetly brushing against his as he adjusts my napkin. The small memory card I pass to him disappears into his palm instantly. The card contains photos I've taken with the cell phone Richard gave me, images of my untreated bed sores, the expired medications, the calendar marking skipped doctor appointments, and most damning, pictures of checks with my forged signature that I found while Diane thought I was napping. Once Victor leaves and Diane retreats to her home office, Martha arrives for her shift. Her efficiency has become our greatest asset. She moves through the house documenting everything while performing her regular duties. Eleanor, she whispers, checking my vital signs while actually showing me photos on her phone. I found these in Diane's desk when I was looking for your insurance cards. I stare at the images, Printouts of luxury retirement homes in Florida, all far below the standard of care my savings could provide. Another shows a real estate listing for my house with notes about potential asking price in Diane's handwriting. My hands clench into fists. She's planning to sell my home right out from under me. Martha nods grimly. And there's more. Look at these. The next photo shows my life insurance policy with the beneficiary section highlighted. What stops my heart momentarily is the notation beside it. Check if changes require medical exam and a phone number for an insurance broker. She's considering changing the beneficiary. I whisper, a chill running through me. That's what it looks like, Martha confirms. But she would need your signature or a forgery, I add, thinking of the checks I'd discovered. Later that afternoon, Jessica Morales makes her second routine follow-up visit. Like Victor, she's now part of our growing alliance, carefully documenting everything while maintaining a professional facade. Mrs. Wilson, she says loudly for Diane's benefit, let's check how your daily activities are going. In the bathroom, with water running to mask our conversation, she updates me. I filed an initial report noting concerns about medication management and possible financial exploitation. Nothing that will trigger immediate action, but it establishes a paper trail. I nod, grateful for her caution. We need more time. Victor has just started investigating Diane's financial history. As Jessica helps me back to the living room, Amber breezes in, designer sunglasses perched on her head despite the cloudy day. Hey, Grandma, she says, dropping a quick kiss near my cheek without actually touching me. Mom, I need to use your credit card. Mine is maxed out. I watch Diane hesitate, stress lines deepening around her mouth. Amber, we talked about this. Things are tight right now. God, Mom, it's just for a facial and some new workout clothes. It's not like I'm asking for a car. Her voice rises petulantly. Why are you so stingy lately? It's not like we're poor. Their argument fades as they move to the kitchen, but not before I catch Amber's parting shot. If you're so broke, why don't you just sell some of Grandma's jewelry? It's not like she wears it anymore. That night, alone in my room, I clutch William's ring against my heart. They won't break me, I promise him silently. I'm gathering my strength for the battle ahead. Eleanor, I believe I found something significant. Michael Donovan's voice is low and urgent through the cell phone pressed against my ear. I'm sitting in the bathroom, the only place I can guarantee privacy, with the shower running to mask our conversation. Michael, my former colleague and now a bank administrator, has been reviewing my financial records. At 70, he could have retired years ago, but as he once told me, I stay to protect people like us from people like them. 2 years ago, he continues, someone attempted to add Diane as a joint account holder on your primary savings account. The signature, he hesitates. Eleanor, it wasn't yours. My free hand grips the edge of the sink. She forged my signature. The attempt was flagged and denied. Our fraud department contacted your home phone, but guess who answered? Diane, I whisper. She claimed you were napping and couldn't be disturbed. Said she'd have you call back. You never did because I never knew. The betrayal feels like a physical blow. What else? Michael asks. Regular withdrawals from your checking account, always under $5,000 to avoid triggering alerts. Over $60,000 in the past 18 months. The bathroom door rattles suddenly. Mom, why is the door locked? Diane's voice carries over the running water. Are you okay? Just having some stomach trouble, dear, I call back, my voice deliberately weakened. I'll be out shortly. Do you need help? The concern in her voice would sound genuine to anyone who didn't know better. No, Martha showed me how to manage. Just need privacy. I wait until her footsteps retreat before returning to the call. I need to go. Thank you, Michael. I've implemented additional security measures, he assures me. Nothing that would seem unusual, just standard protections for seniors that require in-person verification for major transactions. After hiding the phone, I flushed the toilet and emerged to find Diane waiting in the hallway. You shouldn't lock the door, Mom, she scolds. What if you fell? I let my shoulders slump, playing the role of a contrite parent. I just wanted some dignity. Her expression softens momentarily, and I glimpse the daughter I once knew before ambition and resentment twisted her. Then it's gone, replaced by efficiency as she helps me back to bed. I've scheduled Dr. Harrison to evaluate you next week, she mentions casually. My heart races, but I see Dr. Lopez. Harrison specializes in geriatric cases. She smooths my blanket with mechanical precision. We need to discuss long-term care options, Mom. This arrangement isn't sustainable. I recognize the threat beneath her words. Dr. Harrison, unknown to me, would be more likely to support Diane's claims about my diminished capacity. That evening, Victor delivers more than meals. As he sets up my dinner tray, he discreetly passes me a note, found connection between Dee and financial advisor James Mercer. Investigating possible kickbacks for senior care placement. Need more time. Later, Martha helps me call Richard from the bathroom sanctuary. We need to accelerate our timeline, I tell him, panic rising in my throat. She's bringing in a new doctor to evaluate me. Stay calm, Eleanor. Richard's steady voice grounds me. I've already spoken with Karen. She's arranging for Dr. Howard Wells to intercept this referral. He's the head of geriatrics at Bridgeport General and an expert witness in elder abuse cases. By professional courtesy, Dr. Lopez will suggest him as a more appropriate specialist, given your history. Trust me, Howard is brilliant, ethical, and impossible to manipulate. After we hang up, Martha shows me something on her phone, a series of photographs. I found these while organizing the medication cabinet, she explains. The images show prescription bottles with my name, medications I've never taken, never even been prescribed, sleeping pills, anti-anxiety medication, pills for dementia. She's been stockpiling these, Martha says, her voice shaking with anger. The dates go back months. That night, lying in bed, I hear Diane on the phone in the hallway. Yes, I have the paperwork ready. Once we have the doctor's evaluation, of course, I'm sure she can barely remember what day it is. The house alone is worth over $600,000 in this market. I stare at the ceiling, imagining William beside me as he was for 45 years. I won't let her erase us. I promise him I won't let her steal the life we built. For the first time in months, I allow myself to feel the full force of my anger. It burns away the fog of fear and sadness, leaving clarity in its wake. This isn't just about money anymore. It's about justice, truth, and reclaiming my voice. Tomorrow, when Dr. Wells evaluates me, Diane will discover that underestimating me was her first and greatest mistake. Your cognitive function is excellent, Mrs. Wilson, Dr. Howard Wells announces, reviewing his evaluation notes while Diane shifts uncomfortably beside him. Your memory, problem-solving abilities, and verbal reasoning are all remarkably intact for someone of any age, let alone 85. I catch the flash of frustration on my daughter's face before she masks it with concern. But doctor, at home she's often confused, forgetful. She needs constant supervision. Dr. Wells turns his kind but penetrating gaze to Diane. Cognitive function can fluctuate, especially after a stroke. However, Mrs. Wilson shows no significant impairment today. Today is a good day. Diane insists, her knuckles whitening as she grips her purse. You're not seeing what I see daily. Perhaps, he concedes, making a note in my file. I'd like to schedule some follow-up cognitive assessments. And Mrs. Wilson should resume her regular physical therapy sessions. I see they were discontinued last month. Insurance issues, Diane says quickly. We're working on it. Insurance approved 6 months of therapy, I interject softly, playing my role perfectly. I only attended 3 weeks. Dr. Wells raises an eyebrow but says nothing, merely adding another note to my file. Martha, sitting quietly in the corner, catches my eye with the barest hint of a smile. As we leave the office, Diane's silence is brittle with suppressed rage. In the car, it finally shatters. What was that performance, she demands, knuckles white on the steering wheel. One minute you can barely remember my name, the next you're rattling off insurance details. I gaze out the window, allowing a tremor into my voice. I was nervous. The doctor was nice. I wanted to do well on his tests. She exhales sharply. Mom, I'm trying to get you the care you need. These specialists, these evaluations, they're all for your benefit. The lie hangs between us like poison gas. I say nothing, conserving my strength for the battles ahead. That evening, something unexpected happens. Stephen Parker, the charming widower who moved into the neighborhood last month, stops by with a homemade casserole. At 60, he's fit and silver-haired, with an easy smile that makes Diane straighten her posture and touch her hair. Just being neighborly, he explains, handing over the dish. My late wife's recipe. From my wheelchair in the living room, I watch their interaction with growing interest. Stephen's eyes flicker to me several times, brief glances that seem loaded with meaning. Diane, oblivious, invites him in for coffee. As they chat in the kitchen, I notice how he subtly steers the conversation, asking about Diane's business aspirations, her challenges caring for me, her financial concerns. When he finally approaches to introduce himself properly, his handshake lingers on mine. Your daughter speaks very highly of you, Mrs. Wilson. Says you were quite the educator in your day. Something in his emphasis makes me study him more carefully. There's intelligence behind his charm, purpose beneath his casualness. Former school principal, I reply, my voice deliberately frail. Nothing special. On the contrary, he says, holding my gaze a moment too long. I believe you're quite extraordinary. After he leaves, Diane hums as she heats up the casserole. Nice man, she comments. Successful too, retired investment banker. That night, my cell phone vibrates with a text from Victor. Stephen Parker is not who he claims to be. Meeting tomorrow to discuss. Urgent. The next morning, Martha arrives with unexpected news. Diane asked me to work additional hours, she whispers, checking my blood pressure. She has a lunch date with Stephen Parker. While Diane is gone, Victor makes his delivery. This time, he slips inside quickly, abandoning the pretense of setting up my meal. Eleanor, Stephen Parker is working with us, he reveals, sitting across from me. He's a former FBI financial crime specialist. Richard brought him in when we discovered the extent of Diane's past business dealings. My breath catches. What did you find? 5 years ago, Diane ran an investment scheme that collapsed, taking the savings of dozens of people. She avoided charges by repaying just enough to keep victims from pursuing legal action. He pauses. One victim was Thomas Parker, Stephen's brother. So he's here for revenge? The thought troubles me. Despite everything, justice, not revenge. Victor corrects, Stephen was investigating independently when Richard discovered the connection. We decided to join forces. He checks his watch. Your daughter will be back soon, but there's something else you should know. He hands me a folder containing financial records, a trust fund established for Diane by William when she was 25. Your husband set this up to provide for her future. The initial amount was substantial, over $1 million. Victor's voice softens. Eleanor, she's been accessing this money for years while claiming financial hardship to you. The betrayal steals my breath. William had never mentioned this fund, likely wanting to surprise Diane when she matured enough to handle it responsibly. A surprise she exploited while continuing to drain my resources. After Victor leaves, I sit alone with this new knowledge, feeling William's presence stronger than ever. She hid this from both of us. I think she betrayed us both. When Diane returns, flushed and smiling from her lunch date, I study her with new eyes, not just as my daughter, but as a stranger who's been deceiving me for years. Stephen asked me to dinner tomorrow, she announces, checking her reflection in the hallway mirror. I think he really likes me, Mom. That's wonderful, dear, I reply, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Everyone deserves a second chance at happiness. She turns to me, momentarily startled by something in my tone. Our eyes lock, and for an instant, I let my mask slip just enough for a glimpse of the reckoning to come. The smell of expensive perfume announces Amber's arrival before she bursts through the front door. My granddaughter swirls into the living room like a hurricane, designer shopping bags dangling from her arms, her face animated in a way I haven't seen in months. "Grandma, you look better today," she declares, dropping the bags to press a quick kiss on my cheek. For once, it seems genuinely affectionate rather than performative. "Special occasion?" I ask, nodding toward the shopping bags. "Job interview tomorrow." She pulls out a conservative navy blazer that must have cost at least 3 digits. "Marketing assistant at Pinnacle Publishing." This catches my attention. Amber has refused steady employment for years, preferring what she calls influencer opportunities that never seem to generate actual income. "That's wonderful," I say sincerely. "What changed your mind about corporate jobs?" "Last time we discussed them, you called them soul-crushing wage cages." Amber's expression clouds momentarily. "Things are changing around here. Mom's been weird about money lately." She lowers her voice, glancing toward the kitchen where Diane is preparing dinner. "She froze my credit card. Said we need to be financially responsible all of a sudden." Before I can respond, Diane calls Amber to help with dinner. Their tense conversation drifts from the kitchen, Amber defending her purchases, Diane hissing about tightening our belts. Martha arrives for her evening shift, catching my eye significantly as she sets down her bag. Once Diane and Amber are fully distracted in the kitchen, she slips me a folded paper. "Michael found this," she whispers. "Thought you should see it immediately." It's a loan application in Amber's name for $50,000. The signature is clearly forged. The loan purpose is listed as a business investment. The date coincides with Diane's latest failed venture, a meal preparation service that closed after just 3 months. "She used her daughter's identity," I whisper, horror washing through me. Martha nods grimly. "Michael flagged it for potential fraud, but without Amber filing a complaint." She doesn't know, I realize. Diane's protecting herself financially while throwing her own daughter into debt. The revelation crystallizes something inside me. This isn't just about my money anymore. It's about protecting Amber from the same exploitation I've endured. Later that night, while Diane is out with Stephen Parker, I take the most dangerous risk yet. Using my cane for support, I make my way to Amber's room and knock softly. She opens the door, surprise registering at seeing me standing without my wheelchair. "Grandma, should you be walking? We need to talk," I say simply, "about your mother, your future, and some truths that can't wait any longer." For the next 30 minutes, I reveal just enough. The forged loan application, Diane's financial manipulations, her plans to sell the house. I watch Amber's expression shift from disbelief to shock to a cold anger that reminds me painfully of William when he discovered a betrayal. "Why are you telling me this?" she finally asks, her voice hollow. "Because you deserve a chance to build your life on truth, not quicksand." I take her hand, noting how it trembles in mine. "The interview tomorrow, that's your first step toward independence. Don't let her sabotage it." Amber stares at the loan document, her fingertips tracing the forged signature. "What about you? If everything you're saying is true, you're not safe here." "I have help," I assure her. "More than your mother realizes." "What should I do?" For the first time in years, my granddaughter looks to me for genuine guidance rather than money. "For now, say nothing. Take the job if it's offered. Start building your escape route, just as I'm building mine." When Diane returns from her date, cheeks flushed with wine and flirtation, she finds Amber and me looking through old photo albums in the living room. "What's all this?" she asks, slipping off her heels. "Just sharing memories," I reply mildly. Amber wanted to hear about. When she was little, something in our synchronized innocent expressions makes Diane pause, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Well, it's late. Mom needs her rest," Amber says. As they help me to bed, I notice the subtle change in Amber's demeanor, The way she actually looks at the pill organizer when Diane hands me my evening medication, the careful attention she pays to how my pillows are arranged. "I'll check on you later, Grandma," she promises, her eyes communicating more than her words. Alone in my room, I send a quick text to Richard. "Amber now aware. Proceed with next phase." His response is immediate. "Meetings set for Thursday. All key players confirmed." I close my eyes, not to sleep, but to prepare. The confrontation we've been building toward is nearly here. The evidence is gathered, the allies assembled. In 3 days, Diane will finally face the truth she's tried so hard to bury, and I will reclaim the power she thought I had surrendered. "He knows, Mom." Stephen Parker's words hang in the air between us. We're sitting in my garden, my first time outside in weeks without the wheelchair. Diane is at a spa appointment, a self-care day gifted by Stephen, creating this rare opportunity for us to speak freely. "Thomas recognized your daughter's name when I mentioned her," he continues, his eyes watchful. "5 years ago, she convinced him and 12 others to invest in a revolutionary meal delivery concept. He lost his retirement savings, $175,000. My hands clutch the garden bench. "And you're here for initial evidence for a civil suit?" His honesty is refreshing after months of deception. "But seeing how she treats you changed my perspective. This is a pattern for her, exploiting those who trust her most." A hummingbird darts among my neglected roses, its wings a blur of desperate motion. "Why tell me this now?" "Because tomorrow everything changes," he says quietly. "Richard has gathered enough evidence. Victor has completed his investigation. The meeting is set." Fear and anticipation twist inside me. "And what about your relationship with my daughter? Has that all been pretense?" Stephen's expression softens. "I came here with anger, Eleanor. But watching Diane, I've seen something unexpected, how she repeats destructive patterns, pushing away anyone who might truly care for her, choosing schemes over substance." He sighs. "In another life, without the lies between us, perhaps things could have been different." Before he can continue, the sound of a car in the driveway signals Diane's early return. Stephen seamlessly shifts to casual conversation about garden plants as she approaches, her face tightening at the sight of me sitting outdoors without supervision. "Mom, you shouldn't be out here alone." The concern in her voice sounds genuine, making everything more complicated. "She wasn't alone," Stephen says smoothly, standing to greet her with a kiss on the cheek. "I stopped by early and found her admiring her roses. Thought some fresh air would do her good." Diane's suspicion melts under his charm. "You're so thoughtful," she says. She turns to me, her smile brittle. "But you should have waited for me, Mom. What if you'd fallen?" The irony nearly makes me laugh, her worry about a fall while planning my financial collapse. Later that afternoon, while Diane shows Stephen out, Amber corners me in my bedroom, her interview outfit replaced by jeans and a determined expression. "I got the job," she whispers. "But there's more. I found Mom's planner while looking for my birth certificate." She shows me a photo on her phone, a page listing tomorrow's date with a single notation: "Meeting with Malcolm Reed, 10 a.m. guardianship papers." "She's making her move," I murmur, feeling strangely calm. "Sooner than we expected." "What do we do?" Amber asks, fear edging her voice. "We're already doing it," I assure her. "Go to work tomorrow as planned. When you return, things will be different." That evening, the house fills with a strange tension. Diane is uncharacteristically attentive, bringing me tea, asking about my comfort, even suggesting a movie we might watch together, something we haven't done in years. "Is everything all right, dear?" I ask, studying her unusually agitated movements. "Of course," she says too quickly. "Just thinking we don't spend enough quality time together." The guilt in her eyes is unmistakable. Tomorrow, she plans to take legal control of my life, and some part of her, some remnant of the daughter I raised, knows it's wrong. After Diane finally retires to her room, Martha arrives for the night shift. Tonight, her nursing bag contains more than medical supplies: final documents from Richard, instructions for tomorrow, and a sedative. Only if absolutely necessary, she explains, showing me the labeled pill. If Diane becomes volatile during the meeting. I shake my head, handing it back. No. Whatever happens tomorrow, she faces it with a clear mind. Martha's expression softens with respect. You still protect her, even now. Not protecting, I correct her. Justice requires awareness. Redemption requires recognition. I look toward Diane's closed bedroom door. She needs to fully understand what she's done if there's any hope for her to change. That night, I sleep surprisingly well, waking to find Diane already dressed in her most professional outfit, charcoal suit, pearl earrings, hair perfectly styled. Big day? I ask innocently at breakfast. Just some errands, she replies, buttering toast she won't eat. Martha will stay with you until I return. I nod, sipping the tea she's prepared. Take your time, dear. I'll be fine. Our eyes meet briefly, and something passes between us, a current of unspoken truths, of endings and beginnings. For an instant, I glimpse vulnerability beneath her armor, the child who once looked to me for security. Then it's gone, replaced by determination as she gathers her purse and car keys. I'll be back before lunch, she promises, kissing my cheek, a rare gesture that leaves me momentarily breathless. After she leaves, Martha helps me dress in the outfit we've selected carefully. Not my usual house dress, but a tailored navy pantsuit I once wore to the school board meetings. My principal's outfit, William called it my armor. Ready? Martha asks as the clock approaches 10. I stand tall, using my cane not as a crutch, but as an accessory. I've been ready for months. As Victor's car pulls into the driveway, followed by Richard's and then Dr. Lopez's, I move to the living room window. Across the street, Michael Donovan gives a subtle nod from his parked car, our final safety measure. The doorbell rings, and I straighten my shoulders, feeling strength flow through me. The strength Diane thought was gone forever. Game over, I whisper to William's photo as Martha opens the door. What is this? Diane freezes in the doorway, her expression cycling through confusion, shock, and dawning horror as she takes in the gathering in our living room. Richard Coleman stands by the fireplace, legal documents spread on the coffee table. Dr. Lopez sits in an armchair, her medical files open beside her. Victor Ramirez, no longer in his delivery uniform but in a crisp suit, stands near the window. Martha hovers protectively beside my chair while Jessica Morales from Social Services sits quietly in the corner, notepad ready. And at the center of it all, me, sitting straight-backed in my favorite chair, not the wheelchair, meeting my daughter's gaze without flinching. Welcome home, Diane, I say evenly. I believe you know everyone here, though perhaps not in their true capacities. Her eyes dart frantically around the room, settling finally on Richard. What are you doing in my house? She demands. Mother, why is William's lawyer here? My lawyer, I correct her. And this is still my house. Diane, please sit down. I will not. This is an ambush. She turns to leave, only to find Stephen Parker blocking the doorway, his expression solemn. Diane, he says gently, please listen to what your mother has to say. Betrayal crosses her face as she looks between us. You're part of this, whatever this is. It's the truth, Diane, I reply, nodding to Richard. The complete documented truth. For the next 40 minutes, Richard methodically presents the evidence we've gathered, bank statements showing forged checks, medication logs documenting neglect, property inquiries made in her name about selling my house, the false loan in Amber's name, the canceled medical appointments, the hidden trust fund from William. With each revelation, Diane seems to physically shrink, her denials growing weaker, her accusations more desperate. This is ridiculous. I've sacrificed everything to care for you, she cries, eyes wild. You've always been difficult, always doubting me, always holding me to impossible standards. Like the standard of not wishing for my death to solve your financial problems? I ask quietly. She freezes, color draining from her face. What? 3 months ago, I continue, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Outside my bedroom, you told Amber, and I quote, if she dies soon, that would solve my money problems. You were asleep, she whispers. I heard everything, Diane, every word. She collapses onto the sofa, trembling. It wasn't, I didn't mean. You meant it, I interrupt. Just as you meant to take control of my finances through guardianship today. Just as you meant to sell my home and place me in substandard care. Just as you meant to use my death as your financial solution rather than face the consequences of your own choices. Stephen steps forward, his presence adding another layer to Diane's dismay, including the choices that devastated my brother Thomas and a dozen others when your investment scheme collapsed. Understanding dawns in her eyes. You never cared about me, she whispers. This was all about revenge. Not revenge, he corrects her. Justice for them and for your mother. Diane turns to me, desperation replacing defiance. Mom, please. Whatever they've told you, whatever this looks like, I was trying to protect you, to secure our future. By forging my signature? By neglecting my care? By deceiving me about the trust fund your father left you? Each question lands like a physical blow. By stealing from your own daughter? At this, Diane falters completely. Amber doesn't. I know everything, Mom. We all turn to see Amber standing in the doorway, her new work clothes replaced by jeans and a determined expression. She must have left work early, sensed something momentous happening. The loan in my name, she continues, stepping into the room. The credit checks, the lies. Her voice breaks. I trusted you. Diane reaches for her daughter, but Amber steps back, moving to stand beside me. The symbolism isn't lost on anyone in the room. 3 generations of Wilson women, 2 united against one. What happens now? Diane asks, finally, defeated. Are you having me arrested? Richard clears his throat. That depends on several factors, including your willingness to make amends. I lean forward, catching my daughter's eye. I'm offering you a choice, Diane. Not mercy you don't deserve, but a chance you haven't earned. I slide a document across the table. These are my terms. As she reads the agreement Richard prepared, her expression shifts from defiance to disbelief to reluctant acceptance. The document outlines a structured repayment plan for all misappropriated funds, therapy requirements, financial transparency measures, and a revocation of all powers of attorney. You want me to repay everything? She asks, voice hollow. Move out of the house, submit to financial monitoring. Yes, I answer simply. Or face legal consequences for fraud, elder abuse, and identity theft. I pause, letting the options sink in. Your choice reflects who you truly are, Diane. Choose carefully. The room falls silent as my daughter stares at the document, the pen Richard offers hovering in her hand like a sentence. In her hesitation, I see the culmination of our lifelong dynamic, her expectation that I will eventually relent, that consequences can be negotiated away, that my love will ultimately override justice. Not this time. Sign it, Mom, Amber says suddenly. It's more than fair. Diane looks up at her daughter, then back at me. Perhaps the first glimmer of genuine accountability I've seen in years. The pen touches paper. The choice is made. As she signs, I exhale slowly, feeling a weight lift that I've carried far longer than these past 3 months. The battle is won, but the war for my daughter's redemption and our family's healing has only just begun. The autumn leaves scatter across the driveway as I watch Diane load the last of her boxes into her car. 3 weeks have passed since our confrontation, each day bringing new adjustments to our transformed reality. That's everything, she says, closing the trunk with a definitive thud. The small apartment she's rented is only 15 minutes away, close enough to fulfill her obligations under our agreement, far enough to give us both necessary space. I lean on my cane, stronger now after resuming physical therapy. The place has good light for your plants, I offer, remembering how she's always nurtured houseplants even while neglecting human connections. Diane nods, her expression guarded, but lacking the hostility of recent days. Amber helped me set up the basics yesterday, she hesitates. She's really thriving at that publishing job. Yes, she is. Pride warms my voice. In just 3 weeks, Amber has shown remarkable growth, opening her own bank account, creating a budget with Michael's guidance, even enrolling in evening business classes at the community college. Awkward silence stretches between us. So much remains unsaid, yet neither of us seems ready for deeper conversation. The weekly therapy sessions Richard mandated in our agreement have barely scratched Diane's defensive surface. I'll be by on Sunday to take you to church, she finally says. These structured visits, part obligation, part tentative reconciliation, form the backbone of our new relationship. I'll be ready at 9 o'clock, I reply, watching her face for any sign of the daughter I once knew, the girl who collected seashells and wanted to save every stray animal before ambition and resentment calcified her heart. As Diane drives away, Martha joins me on the porch. Her role has evolved from covert ally to official companion. The Board of Education's retirement fund, properly managed by Michael, now easily covers her expanded hours. You did well, she says, handing me a steaming mug of tea. Did I? I stare at the empty driveway. Some days, I wonder if complete estrangement would have been cleaner than this. Halfway healing. Healing isn't linear, Martha reminds me. And some relationships are worth the complicated work. Inside, the house feels different, lighter, as though decades of unspoken resentments have physically departed with Diane's possessions. Richard has helped me reclaim every aspect of my life, from updated legal documents to new security measures for my accounts. Victor still visits occasionally, his Meals on Wheels cover abandoned for honest friendship. Later that afternoon, Jessica Morales stops by with unexpected news. I've been approached about starting a senior advocacy program, she explains, excitement brightening her face, training social workers to recognize signs of elder abuse, creating support networks, connecting victims with legal resources. She smiles warmly. Your case inspired it, Eleanor. My case? I echo, surprised. Your courage, your strategic thinking, your refusal to be victimized. She leans forward earnestly. Would you consider being an advisor? Your experience could help so many others. For the first time in months, I feel something beyond self-protection, a sense of purpose igniting within me. I'd be honored. That evening, Stephen Parker brings dinner not as Diane's suitor, that pretense long abandoned, but as a friend. His brother Thomas has received the first restitution payment from Diane's trust fund, part of our negotiated agreement. He was speechless, Stephen says, serving the pasta he's brought. After 5 years of thinking that money was gone forever. And the others? I ask, thinking of the 11 other victims. The payment schedule you established is working. Small amounts, but consistent. He studies me thoughtfully. You know, most people in your position would have pressed charges, walked away. I twirl pasta on my fork, considering my response. Punishment without possibility of redemption serves no one. Diane needs to make amends, not just financially, but by facing those she harmed. You still love her, he observes. Despite everything, she's my daughter, I reply simply. Love remains even when trust is shattered. Later, Amber arrives after her classes, bringing energy and youthful determination into the quiet house. At 23, she's seizing this second chance with both hands. Her superficial social media obsession has been replaced by genuine ambition. I've been thinking about what you said, Grandma, she announces, dropping her textbooks on the coffee table about legacy being more than money. I smile, remembering our conversation about William's values. And I want to start a blog about financial literacy for young women, about recognizing manipulation and standing up for yourself. Her eyes shine with purpose. Maybe what happened to us could help others. Pride swells in my chest. Your grandfather would have loved that idea. As we sit together reviewing her first draft, I realize that this reclaiming of values, this transformation of pain into purpose, is the true victory, far beyond the financial protections and legal safeguards we've established. My phone buzzes with a text from Diane. Apartment feels empty. First therapy session was harder than expected. See you Sunday. No apology, no dramatic declaration. Just a small crack in the wall between us. A tiny admission of struggle and commitment to the process. I show the message to Amber, who reads it with a measured expression. Baby steps, she says, wisdom beyond her years in her voice. Baby steps, I agree, thinking of the long road ahead for all of us. That night, I stand before my bedroom mirror, studying my reflection. The frightened, diminished woman of 3 months ago has vanished. In her place stands someone stronger. Eleanor from before Diane's betrayal, but someone new. Someone who faced betrayal and emerged not just surviving but transformed. I touch William's wedding ring, still hanging from the chain around my neck. We did it, my love, I whisper to his memory. We protected what matters. Tomorrow will bring new challenges in this delicate rebuilding. But tonight I rest in the knowledge that I have reclaimed not just my assets, but something far more precious, my voice, my power, and my right to define my own final chapter. 1 year later, I stand at the podium, my cane hooked over my arm rather than clutched in my hand. The audience, social workers, law enforcement officers, healthcare providers, listens intently as I conclude my keynote address at the first annual Elder Justice Conference. The most dangerous weapon used against seniors isn't physical force, I tell them, my voice strong despite my 86 years. It's the assumption of our irrelevance. When you believe your voice no longer matters, you become vulnerable to those who would silence it completely. In the front row, Jessica Morales nods encouragingly. Beside her sits Martha, who now divides her time between caring for me and training other home health aides to recognize signs of abuse. Richard Coleman, semi-retired but still passionate about elder law, watches from the side of the stage, ready to join me for the panel discussion that follows. 1 year ago, I was a prisoner in my own home, waiting to die on someone else's schedule. I continue. Today, I'm helping draft legislation to protect others from similar exploitation. The difference wasn't just in the circumstances, it was in remembering my own worth. As applause fills the conference hall, I catch sight of a familiar figure slipping into the back row. Diane arrived early for our scheduled lunch. Our weekly meals have evolved from stilted obligation to cautious reconnection over the past year. The therapy mandated in our agreement has gradually shifted from court-ordered requirement to a genuine, if difficult, journey of self-examination. After the presentation, as attendees gather around with questions, Diane approaches tentatively, hovering at the edge of the group. When the crowd finally thins, we face each other in a moment of private recognition amid the public space. You were magnificent, she says quietly. Dad would have been proud. The mention of William, free of manipulation or deflection, marks another small milestone in our healing. I accept her words with a nod, neither overreacting nor dismissing the effort they represent. We walk slowly to the restaurant across the street, our conversation turning to practical matters, Amber's promotion at the publishing house, Diane's new position as an administrative assistant at a local hospital, a job secured through her own efforts rather than manipulated connections. The senior center called again, she mentions as we study our menus. They're persistent about you joining their board. I'm considering it, I reply, though between the advocacy work and my bridge club, my dance card is rather full these days. A smile flickers across her face, genuine amusement rather than the calculated charm she once deployed. Never thought I'd be telling my mother to slow down at 86. Life takes unexpected turns. I put down my menu, meeting her eyes directly. Speaking of which, Stephen mentioned you've been helping with the restitution support group. Color rises in her cheeks. After fulfilling the financial requirements of our agreement, Diane surprised everyone by volunteering to share her perspective with other perpetrators of financial exploitation, hoping to help them understand the impact of their actions. It's humbling, she admits. Facing people like me, seeing myself in their excuses. Her phone chimes with a text, and I glimpse Amber's name on the screen. The relationship between mother and daughter has been slower to heal than ours, the breach of trust cutting deeper in some ways. But small steps have accumulated over months, Amber helping Diane move into a better apartment when her hospital job offered more stability, Diane attending Amber's speech when she received a Young Professionals Award. After lunch, we walk through the park where I now take daily strolls, my physical strength returning with consistent therapy and proper care. The trust between us remains fragile, reinforced by legal safeguards that Richard insists we maintain despite progress. Diane now receives statements showing my financial health rather than controlling my accounts, transparency replacing control. "Mom," she says suddenly, stopping beside a flowering dogwood. "I've been wanting to ask, how did you find the strength after what you heard that night? After everything, how did you not give up?" The question catches me off guard with its sincerity. I consider my answer carefully. I remembered who I was before I became someone's mother. I finally reply. The woman who led a school, who made difficult decisions, who stood her ground when challenged. That woman was still inside me, waiting. Diane absorbs this, nodding slowly. I'm trying to remember who I was before. Before I became so focused on what I didn't have that I couldn't see what I did. It's the closest we've come to discussing the root of her actions, not just the financial exploitation, but the decades of resentment that preceded it. As we complete our walk, Stephen Parker approaches, having arranged to meet us by the fountain. His relationship with Diane has evolved into something unexpected, not romance, but a cautious friendship built on brutal honesty rather than manipulation. "Eleanor, Diane," he greets us. Beautiful day for the conference. It went well, I tell him. Several prosecutors requested your contact information for financial crime cases. He smiles. Professional reinvention seems to be a theme among us. We part ways at my driveway, where Amber waits in her car, having driven directly from work to join our monthly family dinner. These carefully structured gatherings, with Martha present as both friend and buffer, allow us to practice new patterns of interaction. That evening, as the four of us share a meal that Amber and Diane prepared together, I observe the tentative new equilibrium we've established. Not perfect, not complete, but honest in a way our family hasn't been for decades. After Diane and Amber leave, Martha helps me prepare for bed. Our routine is now comfortable and respectful. "You seem thoughtful tonight," she observes. "I was thinking about forgiveness," I reply. Not the kind that forgets or enables, but the kind that acknowledges the harm while allowing for change. Martha nods. "The hardest kind. The only kind worth offering," I counter. Later, alone in my room, I open the small wooden box where I keep William's ring. Beside it now rests a journal where I've documented this extraordinary year. Not just the pain and betrayal, but the unexpected gifts, renewed purpose, deeper friendships, and the discovery that even in my 80s, I am still growing, still becoming. I write one final entry for the night. A year ago, I heard words that shattered my world. Tonight, I heard my daughter ask how to find her way back to herself. The journey between those moments has taught me that our greatest inheritance isn't money or property, but the courage to face truth, however painful, and the wisdom to build something new from what remains. William, my love, I think we're finally finding our way home. Closing the journal, I would turn off the light and rest easily, secure in the knowledge that tomorrow belongs entirely to me. Not as someone's mother or widow or victim, but as Eleanor Wilson, author of her own final chapters. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.